Hey everybody, hi, it's me, Anna, with Visions by Anna, and I am back now that I've given you an intro video, just letting you know that I was going to be putting out a lot of information to help you help yourself. The reason that this is so important is not only is it part of, my journey and my course of path, but it is part of who I am. And who I am is an illuminated spiritual being that has an infinite amount of knowledge and wisdom that I have sat back with enough time and just like literally my eyes are stuck from rolling in the back of their head, because I'm seeing how we understand only to a certain little minute perspective of what is really going on this planet. We have had tons and tons of change, and it has impacted us, individually, which is personal, communal, societal, global, and I'm dying because even in the religious or spiritual sector, anybody who has an ability or who has the power and an authority to guide and support and help manage, moderate in leadership is not telling the truth. And why? Well, I'm here to put it all out there because I personally am fed up with watching not only myself through time and all the personal work that I have spent a year and a half doing on myself to get to this point of greatness where I could explain in-depth details of just what the fuck is going on with humanity here, and why is it so exploited, and why is the world not being, given the opportunity, but also just given the damn information. There have been nothing but excuses over lifetimes. Those are hidden motives and hidden agendas. Every soul has their own agenda of what they are here to experience and learn in order to grow. Because, like many of you have known or heard them call the earth, your school, and the planet is a playground. And we've just taken it so literal because the human aspect, which is an ego and a personality, is, under dense gravity, so everything sticks together, looks real, feels real. If I can touch it, taste it, smell it, see it, those senses, have been exploited in you. Those ways of learning, growing, defining, those senses are a left-sided brain approach only. And the other aspect that has come in is the right side, which is where your artistic, where your spiritual lies. And what nobody in any type of facet is saying, what you're really going through, what you're really experiencing, why you are where you are, and how you got there. Because that would have to have an omission of responsibility that is bigger than just one set person. And if you have to omit, maybe their fear is that, they then will be turned on, or, they might be running under that capitalistic greed factor of, getting as much as you can until that well runs dry. Well, the problem with that well running dry is you. And you haven't been taught who you are. You have been misled, misinformed, misguided by the world around you. Your soul, though, has infinite knowledge and awareness. Your soul chose the life that you are living, the life that you have lived, whatever it is you have experienced now or before, or that you will want to in the future, comes from the base of your soul, your spirit. It is not in a body. So with that essence not in a body, it has infinite knowledge, infinite clarity, infinite wisdom. And when a soul does come into a body, it is between 8 to 12 weeks. That soul, your soul, puts the veil in front of your face so that everything under the prerequisite of the person you are, you will fully go through it all, and you will learn and grow from all. And in those prerequisites, it doesn't have emotion attached. So if your agenda, if your itinerary says you're going to jump off a bridge and you're going to jump from a building, your soul is all for it, because it doesn't know how you're going to do that. It doesn't even factor in why. It doesn't think about, how you will gain that knowledge and access. It just agrees and goes, let's do it. When you're in the body, you have human aspect, which is your ego and your personality attached. It has conditions, because those conditions are what restricts and conforms. And when there is that ability, that is like a contrast. That is a way of attempting to define something. It is a way to bring in the word time, even though time doesn't exist. That's a made-up thing. There are so many made-up things that we don't even grasp that, because we believe so much that everything we are a part of, everything about us, everything that we engage in or with, that it's real because of the five senses. Well, when you have to open up the other aspect of you, which is the right side of the brain, which is where your spiritual and where your artistic side lies, you are going to be illuminated in a way that is broader, more expansive, and has more clarity. And it's like a light going off. You are now at a point in time where your conscious and unconscious is coexisting inside of your human body. That has not been done until now. And how did we get here? Well, what nobody is saying is that there has been a bunch of energy that has come in. It has come in on templates. It is a force of energy that comes from outside of the universe, but the galaxy. In the galaxy, it has accumulated ideas, accumulated thoughts, and it rides in on the energy, which is a wave, and it comes through with a force, and that impact has hit the earth, that impact has hit you, the trees, the animals, everything has been impacted. So isn't it ironic, the only time you're going to hear about energy of any type is they keep talking about meteors close, and then they take it away. They don't even get close to alluding to the truth. They're just so used to lying about everything and being paid off to keep you unaware. If you are consciously asleep, then you are enslaved in your mind, and you are conditioned and become byproducts of those conditioning. And that has you at a place where you are insanely out of your fucking mind right now. And guess what? They call it your mental health crisis. but nobody's explaining how you got there. Nobody is explaining what you need to do in order to change that. You know, they just want you to accept anything and crash and burn, or, you know, I mean, it's your choice, and you'll have to do the work out of yourself to get into a new perspective of who you really are, not what you or who you thought you were, because that limited you. That kept you, that being in the dark had your eyes closed when they were open, had you doing, thinking, feeling, being outside of yourself. That's external. You were taught that everything outside of you was gold, was you know, more than the most important part of you, which is the internal. And they wanted you, and they being everything that has the ability to control and manipulate order. So you tell me, is it your government? Is it you? Is it your partners, your family? Is it, you tell me what's controlling, what's deceiving you. Because when your eyes are wide open, you no longer will be able to go back and be the person that was, you know, a sleeping giant. You'll no longer have to settle for conditions of just take a pill and stay numbed down until you take so many that you commit suicide. You no longer will be the broken, shattered individual that you feel, that emotional weight you bear, and you bear it by a million different ways of externally owning that. They never wanted you to know that internal first, then external, because it has to do with your spirit. There are key factors of what and how life exists. And if they told you that, their fear would be mass domination would no longer exist. And if mass domination doesn't exist, then their ability to control and manipulate and exploit at your expense, that chain is broken. There are a lot of things that have been set up in millenniums, and millenniums are lengthy times that energy, forces of energy come through and attach and layer so that it can be created, those ideas can be created into a physical reality that you walk through. So your reality is so much more expansive than what you've been given. Some people will say that, you know, it's a very personal thing because they'll tie religion into it. Well, guess what? Every religion in this whole entire world has lied to you. It is not religion. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is a banking institution that has banked on your ignorance, on your inability to know and feel the soul, the spirit inside of you existing in a human body, and to navigate you. If you listen to yourself, if you learn a way of thinking, doing, and being internally, then the control externally diminishes. Amazing how that works. We are in amazing times, but we got here at the expense of so much. And it is important to have a positive and negative, a good and a bad, because you will have the gray, which is your middle ground, where you will find your balance, your peace, and your harmony. Now, there are facets of religion that won't tell you that. They're going to want you to just be good. They're going to exploit the negative, and they're going to, exploit the positive. But they don't tell you why the two coincide. Just like they didn't tell you that your left side of the brain does this and your right side does that, and it sits there. But if you don't know that you have the ability to open and expansively think beyond your restricted borders and those restricted borders are the conditioned thoughts, what you have behaviorally, stated that, how strong you feel about something or why. It's one thing to decide to stay somewhere out of choice. It's another thing to not understand the depths and the levels on which you play the role in this game of life. It's not about just pointing the finger and blaming and saying, oh, you're bad, I'm good. It's about really bringing forth all the information, and you dissect, you go through it, and you take the parts, those components. You take the old components out, you put new components in. That is how you transform. And in order to do that, you not only have to know that your soul is responsible, regardless, point blank, for you being here, for you going through everything, whether it's murder, rape, whether it's just being nice, whatever it is that you have gone through or you will go through, your soul has chosen to experience that background. Doesn't mean you have to stay there. Doesn't mean that you have to accept those terms. Because where we are now, in an age and an era, we are not willing, civilly or humanely, to be so restrictive, to be so resistant, because we've learned whatever purpose it has served. Whatever has come in under the Pisces millennium that was before the Aquarian millennium we're in and have been in, as great and innovative in advanced technology and transportation, there were many, many threads of expansive things that we brought in and learned from and grew, because we've grown to know what we like and what we don't like. And we're intolerant now because there has been so much resistance. There has been so much that has impelled, impacted, and affected us emotionally. See, remember, a soul doesn't have emotion, so it will go through anything, because in a more expansive thought, the soul is okay with whatever it needs to go through. It accepts that just as it is. It just accepts that. In a human mind, the conditioning, the behavior, it all comes from emotion. So we're at this place where I'm baffled at how much is just being overshadowed and nicely tucked in, and nobody's talking about it. People, your mental health crisis is because you no longer can stomach any more or tolerate any more fucking lies. You no longer can tolerate the shit that you push down inside of yourself for survival. You don't have to survive. Surviving is not going to keep you living. In fact, surviving is going to be your demise of dying. You have been set up. You've been set up with your soul knowing that it was going to come into times where it was going to experience. Your soul did not know, nor does it factor in how you will derive at the knowledge and awareness that you will and have, and it does not know what you will choose, which way will you choose. It doesn't have that ability, because that is called free will and free choice. You were given that. That's your soul's natural given state of being. It's what it knows. It's what it has in it. Your human complicates everything because of the mental, your brain, the way it's been taught how to and not process. So if all you've been doing is coping, if all you've been doing is getting by, if all you've been doing is building more energy inside of yourself that is resistant and negative, then now you understand why you can look around you on TV, in papers. Hell, you don't even have to do that. You can see your neighbors. You can feel yourself having breakdowns. Everybody around you is having a breakdown of old and a transformational new induction, which is the conscious unconscious, the left brain and the right brain merging, aligning, coexisting to give you a bigger, broader, more expansive space and ability to create and feel under new pretenses. Nobody's told you that. Not even when you really listen to anybody who on YouTube does astrology or channels, or nobody is like just bringing these facts and breaking the shit down. And hey, if you need it nice, then that's okay. Get it nice. But sometimes you just need to know what the fuck is going on in you as well as outside of you, and just who the fuck is in control of it. Because I've showed you that your soul chose. So there's an omission of personal responsibility that you're going to have to take for yourself. But you also are born into a world that had prerequisites set up, and it was running under those demises. And it did so for a very long time until this summer. From July all the way through November and out of this year, massive amounts of energy came through your fucking universe, your galaxy, through you into the best part of the Aquarian millennium. It kicked out all the old shit. It pushed every bit that had been stuck here energy-wise, that only allowed for every one of us to go so far, to only know so much, to be so close and yet still so far away. Who the fuck has told you that? And yet, you're subjected subliminally, and you're byproduct of, and media just mind fucks you. They know. They're glorified, paid puppets. Fuck. They're admitting it on TV in your shows. If you watch this year, every show this year is more real and more consciously telling you to your face what the fuck you are experiencing. And if you want some rundowns, I'll give you some great ones. Being Mary Jane, amazing. This year, love the show regardless. This year, every week, it is the most realist interpretation of what people experience in their personal lives. The honesty and clarity is there like never before. Before, we just threw things in and we didn't explain, and we only went so far. We touched the surface and left it there. that expression of art is over. We're going deep. You got to go deep to clean out internally all the shit that you have been subjected to. When you look past that, you're floored at the damage that gets done to yourself, to others. Everything is connected and related. But because we have been strung along in this conceptual idea of everything external, that's where they come with the term, you sold your soul. Well, you sold your soul coming into the body. You chose that. So there's personal ownership and responsibility, but when you wanted better and more, and you deserved it, and you realized and recognized that, hey, 2 and 2 isn't adding up to 4. We're not as good as we could be. We're not as great as we can be. We're acting fools. We're attacking each other. We're destroying every facet of this fucking planet. And all the numbers are there. They all add up. But nobody can do anything. Well, when you understand that when energy and how energy works, which means, yes, you're going to have to go back in places where you can see in education that conveyor belt system. It was designed for you to have blocked knowledge, have blinders, so that you didn't think and act past. It was like this, just like this. And this was your focus. And as long as you were focused on what anything or anybody in the world that has the control, the power, the order, then this is what's expected. And when you do this, guess what? Everything outside of that is forgotten, left behind, and it hurts you internally, emotionally. So when you take these blinders off, you start to realize around you, shit, epiphanies, light bulbs going off. There is no right or wrong way. There is, where are you at and where do you want to be? And that's an individual choice. And whatever you choose, we don't choose all the same thing. We're not here to attach ourselves to things and people outside of ourselves to the depth and the level that we have lost our perspective. We have lost our way. We want so desperately to know, and yet, we've had nothing but rhetoric. We've had nothing but excuses, denial. We've had nothing but persecution, extremism, at the expense of everything. There have always been and always will be souls that are illuminated to the point that they are amazing leaders. They exude greatness because they own their shit, because they own their truth. We are just now starting to put it together, all the comparison of, what is and what will work better, as opposed to deriving at just hitting brick walls and being told to choke it all down. People. You cannot choke down any more deception in yourself, in the world around you. That's why you have these labels of sociopath, of ADHD, ADD, the alphabet is what I call it. The schizophrenia, the frantic, anxiety, the panic, the fear. We have been taught by systems of order on this planet, not universal principles and ethics, but systems of order that humans decide, oh, this is the law, this is the way we're going to regulate or mandate. Oh, my eyes just roll in the back of my head every time. When you look at yourself, we have been taught a one-dimensional approach. We feel something, but that's not what we're projecting. So whatever we're perceiving, how is that perception so different than the projection? Because the perception comes from something you have experienced internally, something that internally was felt externally by a physical act. You have these fragments of impressions inside of your body. Oh wait, American medicine won't tell you this, because see, all these industries, all these corporate entities, all your religious industries, they all fucking lied to you. They're banking institutions. Somebody banks off of you living and dying every day. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of good people woven in between who are doing their very best to make change available and happen. We're seeing that literally. I'll tell you one of the biggest ones to look for. Jeff Hoffman. He just took over for Discovery, Science, and Animal Planet. He will be doing all their documentaries. His first interview was as bold and brazen as anything that I would do. And I was so excited because he said, I'm here and everything's about to fucking change. And I was like, yes, somebody just comes right out and says it. And the sucky part probably is that he had to infiltrate the very system that he is a part of in order to come through and make the necessary adjustments. It sucks that we've had to learn that. You can see that in a president. Everybody has an opinion. Fine. Look at yourself before you judge outside of yourself. Oh, but wait, that's more complicated than it is easy to just, do what's done to you, right? Because the more you lost the ability to hold firm in conviction that you weren't going to be deterred and swayed regardless, somewhere you abandoned yourself, somewhere you allowed yourself, and we all have, and we all will and do to a certain point and degree of where we want different. When we realize, hey, this isn't working, this isn't feeling good. We have these systems set up and we're told that they're designed to have our best interest. Well, you explained to me from a pharmaceutical perspective how popping a pill and taking enough in your system that leads you to suicide, and the public is never known, and then they're never told that they're ever, they're not responsible, but hey, it's your ticket out. Really? Someone isn't saying they want to die. They're saying, I don't know how to live. I cannot cope. I cannot function. And where the fuck is the world taking any kind of responsibility or recourse? It has been a slow process. It is slow because as great as things are, there is expansive other collective things that align and set with it. But there is a resistance to being able to move that energy forward at the rate of speed that we would have wanted. But we weren't told, not by NASA, not by anybody who does science, how, when, and why. We're not fed the proper things to get better results. It is only now that so brazen and so real of talk and expression and intellect is coming through. And it is because what got pushed out in the past 5 months so far. There were energy templates that, are completely done now. It is ran courses of cycles. And when you start to put the picture together with a bigger, broader, expansive awareness, you then understand why you're at the dilemma or the demise you are. You then can process and digest and take in a surreality in realism that has not been given. And you can make your necessary adjustments and you will thrive. I'm proof. I did the work. I continue to do the work, and through that comes my ability to think past and break past the areas that were fragmented impressions that dictated a perception but projected something else. And when that projection is impacted, it only allows so much to be gained. It only allows so much to be known or revealed, seen or felt. And so change, you have to apply, you have to put the effort, you have to want so desperately anything that you're not willing to continue the cycles, the patterns, the circumstances that have been inducted with you. You are not alone. You have been misinformed. You have not had all the knowledge and information that you need in order to feed your soul. There are a multitude of ways to better yourself, to come into and know yourself. Whatever way you choose, know that whether you continue to grow positively or you dissent negatively, it is because your free will and choice. It does not have to misguide or mislead you and keep you off your grid anymore. The reason that you stay somewhere is a condition. And those conditions now have the ability to have new terms. And those terms are under a more authentic self. And the more you're authentic, the more everything outside of you, you will attach and attract that same. So it's like a pebble over water. It has a ripple effect. Everything in this world is much more deeper than what you've been taught in any fashion or form, because it has never given it to you just as hard, as raw, as real as you allow yourself to take in and consider. So, with all this that's going on, I want you to really understand that Hollywood has never lied to you. If anything, Hollywood has always taught you and told you the truth. It came through the arts. The spiritual aspect of creating a 3D picture for you to take in and enjoy, embellish, or revolt. It was trying to show you what you were already caught up in, but you don't know that because you don't know how to see what and who you really are. It's like I'm trying to say to you, hey, guess what? In one way, you're a robot, and you just don't know how to navigate. You don't know how to move. You don't know how, because you have been given a set of instructions that limited your ability, that kept you confined. And in that confinement, there's restriction. And I'm saying, no, you're not restricted. You just didn't know the language, and you didn't push past, and you couldn't for some parts. There were times when that energy was still stuck and frozen because there was more that needed to come. There was more that needed to attach and build up and produce, in order for the full effect of whatever that energy had creation wise to then be kicked out. Everything that a human takes in as truth, if you believe it, then it is your truth. If you question, then you have the ability to go past a one-dimensional, a left-sided only brain approach of understanding. You didn't get to where you are by yourself. Your duty and your obligation is to not fall victim to what you chose to be born into, and also to make the necessary corrections and adjustments in yourself, and then pass that on. And whoever feels the same, connects, resonates, they then better themselves by your ability to connect the dots for yourself. That helps them connect the dots for themselves, and that ripple just keeps going. There are a lot of souls that are set into power that have brought and will bring more refined, enhanced acts and knowledge through transformation. I really want your eyes to be wide open, and your eyes being wide open are not these, it's here, it's here, and it's here. These three components are facets that will take you into a place you haven't even begun to go yet. And in your ability to move past yourself, which is your ego, the one and the only thing that there is unconditional love. But you have been subjected by being born into a time where external ruled, because there were forces that did not want you to understand that there was another facet of that same, and the internal has to be kept. And until you manage yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, you will never have peace, balance, and harmony, because your emotions will misguide and mislead you. It is an addictive drug, emotions. It has highs and lows that are not only chaotic but bipolar and dysfunctional. And when you have people of power implement ideas and you surrender to that, and you'll be, because you're conditioned over time, it takes away from your spirit. It takes away from your ability to really be alive, because your spirit is illuminated. It's like turning the light off and you're in the dark. That's what they call the shadow self. That dark, elusive place where all your fear, all your pain from everything you have been a byproduct and experienced sits and rules you. So kind of one way, you've thrown yourself into a world trying to figure your way through a maze and how to get out of the mental matrix in your head of knowing what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not, is layered and laced all around emotion, which then is throwing the dog a bone, tells you everything external, glorifies everything, so that you quickly will turn away from yourself and not own up or tune into the parts of you that have to be managed, that have to be well taken care of. It causes a lot of disruption. We've created it, and we're now taking that away and taking back personal power. We are going past the limits of settling and accepting. We are having conversations. We are breaking things down, and we don't have to do things in a way that impels and impacts negatively and hurts. You can agree to disagree, but you can't do that if your ego is so justified in its narcissism and its vain, superficial plasticity in belief. I hope that this gives you just a little bit of where I'm at, where I'm taking you, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to elaborate on this, and I'm going to throw some shit out there that is going to blow your mind. And then again, it might anger you. Good. Get angry in a good, positive way. Good, positive, angry way. Let me tell you how I did it. I watched my world literally change in front of my face a year ago. And I somehow just automatically knew, oh my God, I got to do something. And I did. I got real. I got honest. I got clean. And it wasn't like I was addicted to drugs. It was no addiction that you'd want to throw a sobriety level on. I shook the shit out of myself by having events in my life and people in my life that played pivotal roles. And without all of them, I couldn't be here. I could not expand any further on what I was going to do and who I was in this world and what I'm here to do. I've always known, but getting there, I had to get past myself. And so as you learn and you are able to take and put the proper words, and you start